Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Eko Setiawan from 4BA. Now I want to present my journal article that I have prepared to present today. My journal article entitled Development of Theater Education Textbook with Character Education and Local Wisdom through Active Learning to improve the student's script writing ability. This journal article is part of VNU Journal of Science Education Research, and this journal article is volume number 35 and issue number 3, was published in 2019 by Muhammad Ismail and Retno Winarni. Okay, here is what I have to present today. The first is introduction, second theoretical review, third research hypothesis, fourth research method, fifth result and discussion, requirement analysis testing, hypothesis testing, and conclusion, of course. Okay, the first is introduction. The phenomenon of less successful teaching of theater education in elementary teacher education, or we can say it as ETE program, can be caused by the low level of scriptwriting skill. The more implicit reason was, among others, the limitation of textbook. That's the big problem. The existing or commonly used reference book had not fully supported the success of student theater education lesson. By theater, society could be educated, directed, and influenced. Moral and art should be transmitted to form the character and moral of the next generation. For that reason, students need to have knowledge about theater, script writing techniques, and character education, as well as the student also need to understand local wisdom that can be associated with theater script writing. Based on the observation on 3 universities, the authors found that the appropriate textbook for writing theater script is unavailable. Learning material regarding writing script of theater script writing was still grouped in Indonesian language learning. This makes the student feel confused to learning theater script writing because it's not independent study. Based on that problem, this research aims to develop theater education textbook with character education and local wisdom through active learning can develop student script writing ability. The developed textbook is expected to support this study. Okay, now theoretical review. There are 4 theoretical review here. The first is character education. Planting character values is a fundamental effort to improve the quality of future generation of the nation. In the context of Indonesia education system, the character values developed based on 15 indicators. There are religious, honesty, tolerance, discipline, hard work, independence, creativity, democratic, curiosity, spirit of nationality, love of the nation, appreciate achievement, friendly, peaceful, love to read, and then care of the environment, care of the social condition, and the last is responsibility. The second is local wisdom. Local wisdom is the intellectual property of the local region in the form of knowledge, belief, norms, customs, culture, insight, and so forth. The third is active learning. Active learning refers to the activities that help students to test their feelings, values, and behaviors. The last is theater scriptwriting textbook. The textbook contains specific materials used as a teaching and learning guidance at school to help the student make script writing good and better than what they can make. Next is research hypothesis. So this research is hypothesis of researcher is that the theater education textbook with character education and local wisdom through active learning can develop student script writing ability. That's the hypothesis of this research. And next is research method. So this research was conducted by following the research of and development procedure or R&D that was developed by Borg and Gall. And then the research approach was a qualitative descriptive approach. It means that this research is look at the quality of the object in this research, not the quantity. And then the type of experimental research used was the quasi experimental model of non-equivalent before after design. I will discuss about it in next slide. Data collection techniques were document analysis, participant observation, in-depth interviews, tests, and focus group discussion. In the experimental class, there are 90 respondents come from the 11 Maret University of Surakarta, and they were treated by using the textbook model of theater script writing with character education and local wisdom through active learning. On the other side, there are 89 respondents from the control class came from the Muhammadiyah University Surakarta who were treated by using the conventional textbook model. So the total of respondents was 179 in total of. Okay, let's say the first is experimental class. The first table is pretest score data of the experimental class. So for the interval class, it is was made by the researchers. So for the relative frequency, we can get it by absolute frequency times with 90 and divided by 100. So the result is relative frequency. In the first table, we can see that the lowest score is 59 and the highest score is 78. That's the lowest and highest score. We have to compare this with experimental class next. Okay, the second is post-test score data of experimental class. This data was obtained after the participant received treatment by learning from the book that had been given by the researcher. So we can see that the lowest score is 68 and the highest score is 91. Okay, next. So this data obtained from comparison between tables 1 and 2, namely pretest and post-test. This third table is called the deviation table, which is how for the progress of people who gone through treatment and those who have not. There are mean, mode, median, and standard deviation, but we just have to focus in standard deviation. So standard deviation for experiment class is 3.71. Okay, here the control class, the pretest score data of the control class. At the table 4, we can see the lowest score is 54 and the highest score is 73. And for the post test score data of the control class, In the table number 5, the lowest score is 65, and the high score is 92. Okay, this is the same table. There are 5 interval class, and for absolute frequency, and there is relative frequency. Okay, next, the pretest post-test deviation score data of the experiment class, and I mean the control class, in the table 6. For the uh, for the deviation score in the control class, the standard deviation is 3.45. It means that the standard deviation of control test is less than the experiment class. You have to test the result of this experiment with 3 tests. Okay, here it is. Requirement analysis testing. So the first is normality test. The data tested by normality in this research were divided into 2 sections. The first is normality test for pre-test and post-test deviation score data of experimental class. So if the maximum of LO is Lilly force obtained, the score is 0.091 and 0. And then the Lilly force table, it is 0.093 and 4. From the comparison, it could be stated that L obtained was smaller than L table. Thus, it could be stated that the pretest post-test deviation score data of the experiment class came from a population with the normal distribution, and this is the hypothesis accepted. And the second is normality test for pretest and post-test deviation score data of control class. The maximum L obtained is 0.092 and 7, and L table is 0.096 and 1. And also in this normality test, LO less than LT. So this score is normal distribution. Okay, the second is homogeneity of variance test. It is a Bartlett's test technique. In this test, if X obtained less than X table, hypothesis O is rejected. And if X obtained more than X table, hypothesis O is accepted. Hypothesis O is variance of pre-test and post-test score between experimental class and control class was homogeneous on the real level. So in this homogeneity of variance test, if the hypothesis O is accepted, so that's mean that the data is homogeneous. And in the experimental group and the control group resulted that X obtained is 3.84 and X table is 0.46. So X obtained more than X table. With that, we can say that hypothesis O was accepted and it is homogeneous. And the last is balance test. In the balance test, there are 2 laws. It is T obtained. If T obtained more than T table, hypothesis O is rejected. And if T obtained less than T table, hypothesis O is accepted. And in the test result showed that T obtained is minus 0.0037, and it is less than T table, which is have score 1.645. It could be concluded that the average score of the student ability to write a theater script of the experimental group and the control group was balanced. So, for all three tests, it is accepted. All is accepted. So we can go to the next slide. Next, number 7 is hypothesis testing. Based on statistical analysis with independent t-test technique, it showed that t obtained was 0.1 and 7. The critical area is t. The t is 1.6 and 4. So critical area is less than minus 1.64 or more than 1.64, and the t obtained is 0.17. So it is not in the critical area. It could be seen that t obtained is less than t table. So hypothesis O was accepted. There was a significant difference between the ability to write a theater script of students who were taught using the textbook model and the students who were taught using the used textbook. In other words, it could be concluded that the theater script writing textbook with character education and local wisdom through active learning could improve the student ability to write a theater script. It can be looked at the result of experimental class score deviation. It is more than the control class. It means that this textbook is good for the student of script writing to learn script writing. And okay, the last is conclusion. In the conclusion, the theater script writing textbook with character education and local wisdom effectively improved the student theater script writing skills. The textbook could be accepted by lecturers, policymakers, and students as teaching materials. Okay, that's all what I can say. Sorry for my shortcomings. If anyone wants to be asked, please go through the forum. I will end it. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.